Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the KONTAINEROZ podcast. The podcast is sponsored by PortPro, the leading operating system for drayage carriers. Schedule a demo today at portpro.io. And don't forget to mention KONTAINEROZ for 10% off. Woo! What's up?
What's up, Luis?
Episode 45. Luis Barrios, a.k.a. El Calzonudo. I need to know more about that nickname, bro.
My father-in-law, he kind of messes around a lot. And when I was dating his daughter, it was like I would come over and he'd be like, "Hey, calzonudo." He would tell me like that. So I'm like, it just stuck with me. Everybody in the yard knows my father-in-law. He's been moving drayage for upwards of 30 years.
Mm.
So
Calzon means underwear, so
big underwear.
Ah.
Something like that. But
I
I just take it.
all right.
I just take it another way, but yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
What he considers el calzonudo is like he would talk about like the kids that have their pants to their waist and so.
Oh.
Pick up your pants, calzonudo.
Okay,
so,
okay.
But I just take it in another way, and like a kind of like a son kind of way, like
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, okay, cool. Calzonudo.
Mm-hmm.
So share a little more about yourself other than the calzonudo.
Other than that, my name is Luis Barrios.
Yeah.
I work out here in the ports of Long Beach, and when I started working, I was like 17. Well, I don't know if this is a time to talk about that. Can I talk about that? Like when I started?
Yeah, a little about yourself.
Okay, so I live out there in the Inland Empire. Like I said, I work at the port of Long Beach, and I started out there working at a warehouse a long time ago, and I was there for a little while, just learning things. And I started when I was 17. It was cool because the warehouse had the school had a program where you could work at a warehouse without getting paid, and then after you would get hired. And I worked there when I was 17. I would skateboard to the job. It was close by the house, so it was kind of cool. I worked there for a couple of years, and I got a car. And I was there. I stayed there for a while, and then my dad was he's like, "You should do something. You should go to school."
Yeah.
My dad never went to school, but so he pushed me to try to do something, And I'm kind of like, I don't know what I have, but I'm kind of like, I pay attention to something, and I'm like, I'm gonna try to do this, right? But then I get bored after a while. So that's what kind of messed up the schooling that I went to, because I think that the school is a good school, right? After that, I went to an automotive school over there in Rancho. It's called UTI. And I was there and working.
I heard of that.
Yeah. So I was working at the warehouse, and then I would go to school. And when I was there, I was just like, at first everything was so interesting, and look at this, but I'm more into like the building of the cars, I guess, not into like mechanical work. So it's kind of like, it worked out for a little bit, I passed the whole school and everything. But if you're very focused on the school, it's kind of cool because they put you into programs there, like Mercedes, Ford, and they push you to get into these programs, and you have to know a little bit about mechanic. You have to be mechanically inclined. So I wasn't. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know anything. All I knew was my warehouse and then go to school. My warehouse and go to school. So I graduated, but I didn't go in the field right away. I worked for a while for this company that builds blocks for drag cars. It's like those cars that make like 2,500 horsepower, that have big tires that you see on the TV, and HRA cars. And we're building blocks for them. They have aluminum blocks, and what we would do is we would deburr and clean up the block before they got it, because the aluminum was really sharp. And or when they blew up the motor, they would bring it in, and then we would work on it, right? Like they make walls, and then they would cut it. Ooh, sorry, they would cut the walls in the block, and that would work like kind of like to build up the block again, so the walls would be sustained with the power that the cars were pushing. And I worked there for a little bit, and then one of my friends, his name's Felipe. Shout out to him, by the way, because he's a really good. Is almost like a perfectionist. Like he liked to do things very like to the best of his ability. And I worked there for a little bit. He left, and I was working there, but I was very uncomfortable. After I had been working at the warehouse, and I worked at this place, and it was like I was alone now, because I was like the guy had left.
Oh.
I was like, I'm gonna cry. But there was a bunch of people that came in afterwards, and it's kind of like, but I still felt that, like, hey, I had a person that kind of understood me and stuff like that.
Oh.
Don't make me cry. But it was cool. I worked there for a little bit, and then
Mechanic Mountain.
And then he introduced me to a company that was putting DPFs at that time in 2008. They were putting they're not catalytic, but they're the mufflers that the trucks have, that the semis have, which are DPFs. They were retrofitting them, because in 2008 they were already kind of, either you put the retrofit on the truck,
Yeah.
or you had to buy a new truck.
Yeah.
So a lot of people were putting retrofit. It was cheaper, and we were doing that for a while, like 2 years. But I had a lot of bad experiences there.
I can't hear you anymore.
I had a lot of bad experiences there. And it's just like, when I was there, there was a lot of things going on. Like, the company was really good at what they did, but there were a lot of employees that weren't like behaving how they should. So it's like a lot of people were stealing stuff. The company would give you everything. They'd give you a trailer, and you would go up wherever they told you. Santa Barbara, almost, I think Eureka was the farthest that we went up there. And they would take you over there, and they would kind of like tell you, hey, you know what, you have to put in these 6 trucks for the city, you have to put the DPFs. And little by little, we just started like getting better at them, and then you could do them in an hour and a half, and like that. You were working, and you were getting paid by the hour, but it was kind of like, the faster you got rid of the job, the faster you would get into the next one. And it's just like, you got a little bit experience, you got faster at it and stuff like that. We worked there for a little bit, and things started going awry. It's like everything was a problem, and then the guys that would go up there, they would have their way of seeing things, and you were kind of new, so you were like, you don't want to say anything to the people that have been here for a while. So they started stealing stuff, and people started stealing, not the original guys, but other people, new people that would jump in. There'd be pliers missing, and this missing, and that missing, and I'm like, okay. And so the company was like having issues with people doing that, and they started kind of like going down on people, and then they let me go from there. There was an issue that I had when I was up north, that I was with the older guy that was one of the ones that started with the company, and it was just a whole hassle. I don't even want to go into it, but
Well, like your locker room full of pliers?
no, it was crazier, dude. It's like he didn't have nowhere to be, like he didn't have a house, so we went to go pick him up, and then he lived in a motel. And because he didn't want to pay the 2 weeks that we were up there, he took his wife with us to the job site. And it was just me and him kind of like working, and then his wife was there. And then we were supposed to this is when we went up close to Washington, and we were supposed to put some DPFs in some trucks. And then it was just crazy. It was just craziness. It was just like a whole week of craziness. And I went up there and kind of like had an issue with that, with the wife being there with us and stuff like that. Like, because she would be like, hey, let's go out to lunch. And them both would go to lunch and leave me there, working. And it's just like, hey, you're with us, we're working here. But that's how it was for a little bit, for a couple of days. And then I got my wallet taken. I got to think, too. I was like 19, maybe 20.
Mm-hmm.
Got my wallet taken with my paycheck that I had just got. And at that time, I was making really good money for my age. Mm-hmm. So somebody stole my wallet. and I'm up there. It? I already had cashed it.
Oh, man.
And I'm up there. No money, no ID, no card, And I'm like, I call the office and I'm like, hey, somebody stole my wallet. I only hang around with these people. It's like, what's going on? What can I do? What can you guys help me with? Well, we'll figure it out. They paid for the hotel. It's kind of cool because they paid for it. But they were trying to not invest. They didn't even get into investigating, but they just assumed that I had lost it. And then the next day, he calls the main person in the office and tells him that he's missing something, that he got something stolen from him. So we come down, we finish the job, we come down, and they just gave me my papers, and I came down and I didn't understand, I was 19. I kind of didn't want to go into it. I didn't know what to say. So I come down at 19 and I'm like, I just got like almost $2,000 taken from me, and no ID. Now I got to go do the DMV and get the whole thing, and my cards all have to get canceled and stuff like that. And I'm without a job now.
Yeah.
And I had a car. That's why on my Instagram it says white 4G63. That's an engine code for a Mitsubishi Evolution I used to own. And I was 19 when I had that car, and I was making like payments and stuff like that. And I couldn't make it with the payments now, So I'm looking for a job, and in 2008, 2009, everything was going down. It was a whole thing. Luckily, I went to work for Crown Toyota. That's when I went to go Crown Toyota and try to look for a job there, and got hired like a porter for a little bit. And
what's a porter?
He moves the cars from the service drive.
Okay.
He parks them. Then he puts the
order
plastic. Okay. He puts the plastic on the cars and on the floor mat. They park them, and then whenever people are here to pick up cars, they'll take them.
Okay.
Kind of like a valet. And I was working there for a while, but I had that experience, right? The experience from UTI. And I kind of wanted to go into the field again. It kind of made me push me like closer to the field. So I'm like, oh, I'm cool right here. I'll be cool right here for a little bit. But I had the car and I had that payment. And it's just like that put me in a bind all the time, because I was paying so much for the car. And, the car took only 91 and it was expensive.
It took priority over what you really wanted then.
Yeah, because it pushed my thing into second, into like, okay, yeah. What do you really want to do? What is it that you really want to do?
Yeah.
And it's just like, at some point, it's like, I had to let go of the car. It had to be something that was...
Operation Repo?
Luckily, no.
No.
Luckily, I was able to take it to CarMax. And they bought the car from me. And I owed like $3 more on top of whatever they paid. So it was kind of good because I didn't know I wasn't upside down too much. But seeing that car leave, I was like, something that like forever was like something I remember. When I lose stuff now, it kind of like when it's kind of big, I see it like that. Like I remember when I was 20 and I lost my car.
Yeah.
But it made me think too. Made me think that sometimes like possessions you lose them from one time to another. And that becomes a thing that makes you think you appreciate the things more, I think.
Yeah, what you got left, whatever you do have.
Yeah, because then you're like, okay, now I have to kind of focus myself on this, focus myself on that.
Yeah.
And
How many other jobs did you have before you ended up in drayage? Like other...
exactly was the first one, my warehouse job. The second one was that place where I built the aluminum blocks, or we fixed aluminum blocks. Then it was Crown Toyota, where I worked for a couple years. I lost a couple years there, 5 years. And during this time, maybe when I was in, even before, sorry, it even started before that. When I was like 15 or 16, my dad would take me with him to go leave some loads up there in Hesperia, Victorville area.
Okay. Wait, yeah, that sounds about right.
And we would go out to a warehouse. And it was an empty warehouse, huge empty warehouse. And he would tell me, "You drive the truck?" And tell me, "Drive the truck." I'm like, "Are you sure?" And he goes, "Yeah." I put it in first and drive it around the little. It's a huge yard. There was nothing there at that time. Maybe now it's like completely full of containers. But at that time it was empty, and that's when I'm like, "This is cool. This is really cool." And he would let me once in a while, like when I had days off or whatever, he would take me with him to do that kind of stuff. And that was that's when I started kind of like falling in love with the job. It wasn't all the way love, but yeah, I started getting involved more with the truck. And it's just like, when he would take me, I would be like happy. Oh, he's like 3 a.m. Hey, you want to get up? You want to go with me on a Saturday? I'm like, yeah, I'll go with you. And I would go and drive the truck. He'd buy me lunch. It was kind of cool. For a little bit, I did that. And that's where I learned first about trucks.
Okay.
Then again, like I tell you, I continued everything else. Like, found my job. I had the 4 jobs that I had before that. The last one was Crown Toyota. And then after that, I started my process of trying to get my license. I was 19, maybe 20 when I was at Crown. And my father-in-law brought it up. He said, hey, at that time I was dating his daughter. But he's like, hey, you should get your license.
Calzonudo.
Pretty much. He's like, you should get your license. I was like 20, 21. And I was kind of like pushing it away. I didn't want to get it. Because I'm like, but I'm working. I'm working here at Crown. And I'm like, I was making some moves, but it weren't moves where they're going to make me the amount of money that I needed. That not only do I need, but to support my family. Then I got married. And I stayed there at Crown. And then my father-in-law saw that, he was going to lose his driver. Because at that time, the driver was going to get his own truck. So he was going to have a truck that was not going to be used. So he's like, hey, go get your license, he tells me. Here's $300. Put the down payment for the school. At that time, the school was $800.
Oh, mine was 1,000.
Yeah.
2006.
I got it in 2008.
Oh, you came
9.
up.
8, 9.
Yeah.
And it was like $800. But it was like, this is the issue. The issue was that I'm like, okay, I'll go to the school.
Yeah.
He gave me the money. I put the down payment, and I was just making monthly payments for that school. The issue was that they closed at 5.
Oh, okay. And then your work, you already had.
I got out of work at 4.
Yeah.
So I would the good thing is in the same, close to the same city. So I would run every single day after work to go work, be a little bit in the truck and kind of listen to what the guy would tell me.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was kind of cool because it's like I would run over there, but kind of sucky in the same way because I would only be there for like 45 minutes. And I had to take out the juice out of those 45 minutes. And like you got like 10, 20 people there trying to get on the truck. It's just like, can you give me a chance so that way I can get on the truck? And a lot of those people, they've been there for hours. you know.
That's why you K800, because there's like 20 motherfuckers waiting to use the truck.
So it makes it difficult. It's just like my dad. I had to finish the school. I'm running from work to school. And that's another thing, you know. And it's just like,
did you quit?
No.
Toyota?
No.
Oh,
not yet. I'm still going to school, right? I'm still doing all this, and I'm like, I'll get my permit, and then I tell my father-in-law, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and get my permit. I finished my permit test, and then in this time I'm going to school, so it's like it took almost like 9 months.
Yeah.
And I'm like learning to back up the truck and all these maneuvers, and there's guys there that have been there for like 3 years.
There's no time limit on that?
There should have been, but there wasn't. Okay. And there was some guys, you know how the process of like when you do your pre-inspection and then you do your air brakes test, right, inside the cab?
Yeah.
Well, there was some guys that the way that the school would teach it was like you go through everything, right? You go boom, 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 the processes. Well, they would want to switch it up. And they would be like, if you do it like this, and you don't have to air up the... Go ahead. You wouldn't have to air up the tanks again. And if you do it like this, then that way it's easier for... He would mix everything up. And it was so easy the way that they did it, the process of doing the air brake test, that it was just like, there was no about it. But that's why he was there for 3 years. And he didn't have his license yet. So it's like a lot of these people were like there for months, years. Yeah. And, you know, now I know that there's a bunch of schools that don't accept that. They're like, hey, you have a certain time to finish the school, and then you got to get out, and you have to pay it again. So then I'm hearing all these examples, and I'm like, man, I hope I don't stay here.
Yeah.
I hope I don't get caught up to this. And no, luckily, I'm like, I pushed through, and I'm going to give you this story. The story was that on Tuesday was the day that I was supposed to go to the DMV. On Wednesday, I lied to you. On Thursday, my permit for the year was done, right? I had to retake all the tests. That was on Thursday. So on Tuesday, I go to the DMV, and shout out to that lady too, because she did a big battle for me.
Which?
We went up to the DMV, and they take turns because there's a bunch of schools there. Yeah. It's like 10 schools, and it's like 100, 200 drivers. So it's like it takes time. So then our school was like almost the last one. And the guy that went before me was the last driver that was going to work there, that was going to be there for that whole day. We were there since 8 in the morning, and at 4 in the afternoon, it was done. So I'm like kind of like, well, what about tomorrow? And then the school was like, no, we don't go to the DMV on tomorrow. It's only Tuesdays and Thursdays, maybe.
And Thursday was the due day.
So I'm like, I call my dad up. Dad, I need help. I need the truck. And mind you, like, I hadn't even used that truck. It hadn't been years since I used that truck. But because I remember how to use it, it's like I was comfortable in it. Yeah. What was kind of like difficult was that we were practicing in 20s or 24-foot trailers at the school, and my dad only had a 53. That day he had a 53, so he's like, hey, you're gonna have to, unless we rent a trailer. And I'm like, you can do it. He's like, you can do it. So he gives me the 53, and I drive with the 53 at the school, and the girl made it so comfortable. Shout out to that girl at the DMV too, because she made it so comfortable. I don't know if you're gonna know who I am, but
saludos, calzonuda.
No. But shout out to her because of her I got my license, and she made it there. Like, the reason that I'm doing shout outs is because there's things that you learn from every person, and it's like you always remember it. Maybe they won't think that you do. But
that's true, because that's a long time ago.
That's a long time ago. Yeah. And just like some things that you're like, oh, okay, you just brush it off, but you think about it. You're like, hey, this person gave me a hand at this thing. Yeah. And it was kind of cool. I made a fatal mistake, very bad mistake. I came down the hill without being in gear.
Okay.
But luckily the trailer was empty. And I kind of figured out at the very last minute how to put it in, into gear and try to lower the truck speed. But we weren't going fast, and that was a mistake that I had made. I didn't know at the time, but that's the most dangerous thing you could do.
Yeah.
We know because of that example that we saw.
The guy with 100 years? Yeah.
And I'm like, I think that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy how a mistake like that can cost so much. And but the reason that I made that mistake, it made me kind of think a lot. Not at the time, but later on in years when I realized how important it is for a truck to be under your control.
Yeah.
When it's out of control, then what are you gonna do? You're using the brakes, but what if the brakes get hot? And it's just like, okay, there's things that
now you got a runaway truck.
Yeah, there's things that you gotta try to figure out and try to do to the best of your ability.
Whenever you see the importance of that, you know that it was a big hookup, because that's something that she shouldn't have let slide, right?
Yeah,
you're clearly not ready.
Yeah. And from then on, I come back to the yard and I'm kind of like, I made a mistake. I knew I had made a mistake. And the lady goes, you passed, but do me a favor, don't ever get in the truck and do that. You has to be under your control, the truck. And so the truck I get my license. I'm super happy. Yeah. I got to run to work, by the way, after that. Mm-hmm. Run to work because I was late. I had said that I had an appointment for something, but I was moving on with my life. I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. And then I get this opportunity and I finish my school and I'm happy and I got my license and I get my picture. And then I go back to the reality. And I'm like, okay, let's work. Let's keep on working for a little bit. I have my license in my pocket, just like my father-in-law had. He always recommends people to do that. Have your license in your pocket. Don't worry if you don't use it, but just have it there. So a little bit of time passes by and at work it's not going too well. It's just like it's getting slower. There's a whole time when I remember there was like 30 mechanics that got let go.
Yeah.
And it was really slow for work. Everything was slowing down, but the truck business wasn't. The truck business was booming. I was making money. So my father-in-law goes, go to the boss and tell him, I need a raise. And if she tells you no, then you quit and you come and work for me. Me scared. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what change was, You're scared of it. You're like, something new. I don't know. Can I do it? It's just like anything, right?
Yeah.
Can I do that? Am I able to do it? And luckily, that's what I did.
You knew they weren't going to give you a raise.
I knew it.
Yeah,
it was slow. People weren't doing services to their cars at that time. And I knew I wasn't going to get the raise, so I'm like, okay, this is the time. And that same day, I decided, hey, you know what? That's it. I can't work here. I'm sorry, but I gotta go do something. So it took a while, maybe like 2 weeks. I'm kind of like, I get very depressed when I lose a job or when I don't have nothing to do. And I was just like, even one day of doing that, I couldn't get my mind around it. I'm like, I just lost my job. And that's a paycheck. And what am I going to do now? And where am I going to go? And, at least I had that position where he was able to get me into the company. But I was young still. I was 22. And I guess you can't get in some insurances. Don't insure you when you're 22.
Under 25, I think, is the magic number.
But at that time, I was 22. So I go and then one of the safety people at the job where I'm at right now tells me, hey, you can't work because you're too young. You're 22 and we can't insure you here. She told me. So I'm like driving home after doing all this stuff because I went to go do my twig and I went to go do all this stuff. And I'm like crying. I'm like calling my father-in-law, man, that's it. You know, how am I going to wait a year? How am I going to do all this? Don't worry about it. Just relax. Go home. I'll take care of it. And that's what he did. He was able to convince them to give me a chance and to work with them. And in turn, the company decided to say, if you have an accident, it's going to come out of your pocket, which was my father-in-law's. I'll vouch for him. For a year, he had to wait. So he tells me I'll vouch for him. And yeah, I started working in drayage. And at that time, I was a driver for him. So it was like, it was cool. We were learning. So it's like, you learn a lot of things.
Did you pay on time?
At one point, I was just trying to like, hey, you know what? You have to pay me more. Yeah, you're just not that long.
There's a guy in here yesterday. Shout out Mike Rico. His former boss wouldn't pay him the waiting time. He would pocket it.
I'll tell you this much. My father didn't pay me my waiting time, by the way. You're in trouble. But at that time, we were doing Lambridge. So Lambridge doesn't pay waiting time. Yeah. Only when it was like deliveries. And I would be like,
Lambrichero.
Hey, you're going to pay me you pay the waiting time. The other driver, I would hear it from them, you know.
Yeah.
But you know what the problem with us is sometimes, those truck drivers in general, that we try to like put things in people's minds and try to doubt the things that we do. You know? And it's like, that's the thing that I'm like, okay, now I realize, you know, how messed up they were, you know. They're like, he's not paying you enough. He should have gave you the truck when you started. He should be paying you your waiting time.
All stuff that they're not willing to do for you.
They won't do it for you. Correct.
Okay. Yeah.
Stuff that they're not willing to do, but they're willing to tell everybody else, hey, look it.
You should this, you should that.
Yeah.
Not me, though.
Yeah, so it kind of gives you a doubt, you know, too. Because I was like, hey, you know.
Plantan la semilla.
Yeah, and that was it. I would be like, hey, Dad, you know. And I call him Dad, but he's my father-in-law. And he just told me, like, don't listen to everybody, you know, just work. And I'm just like, okay. And luckily at that time I was, like my father-in-law says, I was a complete driver. I had my endorsement for doubles and triples and my hazardous. And I didn't, because I had that year of probation, I couldn't pull hazardous or doubles and triples at that time. So it was kind of like, I had to wait. And after like 6 months, we tried to push it. And luckily, they gave me the chance, and they drove me around with the dolly. At that time, I drove with the dolly. I was only a handful of people that do that still. But at that time, I think I was the youngest, maybe.
The dolly. Like for the overweight?
For the overweights.
Yeah.
And so I was a driver for him. We were pulling dollies. We were having work. Tanks. Those things pay really good. So we were
shifting. How did you do it? Did you figure it out?
I figured it out. Yeah. Because remember, you're like...
The surge.
Yeah. And then you got the baffles inside the tanks. And, you know, but when you get into pulling tanks, you understand what it's like, how dangerous it is, the thing that you do. Yeah. Because you understand that push. You know, you understand something smacking you in the back of the head, because it's like, it's weight. And that's when you have to be more careful, even when you're still.
Yeah, it'll push you.
Yeah, it'll push you. And the truck's like, vroom, vroom, especially if you're going fast. So now you have to realize you can't go that fast on turns. You can't just like take whatever, you know. You have to take precaution now to take turns wider. Understand that the truck needs to be more sitting down with all the wheels and not be like that or turn like this. So little by little, I started learning a lot from that.
Yeah.
And, well, we don't push them anymore, but we have them right there in the yard. But we have them. We own them.
You're still at that same company?
I'm still at the same company.
So, how long were you a driver for?
I was a driver for 3 years. Drove for him.
What year did you decide to get a truck?
It was actually after 2 years that I kind of had like a talk with my father-in-law. We would actually carpool for many years. We carpooled together. And
you really got to get along with the in-law to carpool.
Hey, listen to that, right? You got to be really like, because you have to understand he has an opinion of you. Yeah. And you're sitting down and you're learning, but he also wants
never be good enough.
Pushing to that, Even to this day, but I have a different relationship with him. We connected.
You proved yourself?
Not yet, maybe. Not yet, but in terms of, I think we just have like this different relationship. Like I haven't seen that with a lot of people, but I have it with him, and it's like it's cool because even though he gets mad at me for some things that I do, he knows that I'm doing my best to try to do the things right. And he knows that I try to do the things how they're supposed to. Sometimes he gets mad at me, but it's okay. It's part of life.
Yeah.
You can never please everybody.
He's probably going to be watching.
He's going to be like, you're in trouble now.
Yeah. Get your own fucking car and drive your ass to work alone.
But sorry, I kind of veered off the question, but the thing was, when you told me that, when did I decide to get my own truck, I had a heart with him, and I was in the car, and I was just like, hey, I don't want to be a driver anymore. I want to own my own truck. I don't know what that takes, but I got to own my own truck.
Yeah.
I can't be working like this. And he told me that, okay, give me some time. And it took like 6 months. Kept on driving, kept on working for him. Worked me the 6 months, and then you can have the truck. Granted, you have to pay for it and stuff like that. But because it cost me money, I have more appreciation for the job, for my equipment, for the things that I have, because it cost me money. I think if I would have got it for free, I would have not had as much love for it.
So he sold you the truck he had already?
He had one of the trucks, and I was driving, and he sold me the truck, and I have the dolly. So I was like, oh, no problem.
Oh, it was a combo sale?
It was a combo sale.
Okay.
So he was like, you drive this truck, and you have everything. There's nothing that you need more. This is everything. This is what's going to make you money. And that was really cool of him, because he could have kept on having that truck driving for somebody else. He could have kept it another 10 years, have a driver on there. And I would have to look for another truck at that time. But nobody was selling them at that time. Nobody was selling their trucks, their LNGs.
Yeah, they had just got in the system, like, right?
So they just had gotten into the system. So it's like,
unless they blew the motor somewhere,
And they had to figure out how to get rid of them.
So this whole time you with that truck, I gotta bring that up. It was an LNG truck, just so we're clear, right?
LNG. That's what we run.
And what year was the truck again?
It was a 2009.
2009. So didn't those have a lot of problems?
They had a lot of problems, a lot of motor problems. The motor was really small for what we do. But luckily, we only did short distance. When we started getting slow here at work, there was a couple of years that it was kind of like on, off. Like the time that Chinese New Year's would hit, it would be longer.
Yeah,
every year would be, okay, it's 4 months now, and it's 5 months now, and it's like, so we would have to do deliveries. And with those LNGs, they don't last long. Especially with the motor that it has, the weight, if you're pushing over weights. Yeah. So I would take some containers to the city of Chino, city of Redlands, farther. And the motor blew, The motor blew. Doing those deliveries and then coming back, and just motor gave out. Luckily, like I said, the truck still had like a warranty, and they replaced the motor. But that was going to be the last time. And it ended up happening like 3 years later again. But we were able to take it to a place, and they were able to kind of help us out.
Yeah.
Because we took a couple of trucks there.
Oop.
And we got we were able to fix it. But other than that, occasionally what happens with the LMGs is computers go out, which are the most expensive thing in the truck. The computers, or a thing that's, we call it a missile, but it's called the heat exchanger. And that heat exchanger is really pricey, like upwards of $2,000. So when that messes up, your truck starts like consuming more water, getting hotter, you know. So mostly with the truck is like, those are expenses, the computers and the heat exchanger and the EGR. Those are the expensive things on those trucks.
What's the cost? Like, how you never had to learn what it was to adapt to a price difference, huh? Like, you didn't go from a diesel truck to an LNG. You've always been LNG.
I've only been LNG, yeah. So I kind of don't really know anything about diesel
but
trucks.
you do know that you're profitable.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And with LNG, it burns faster long distance, or?
Yeah, faster long distance, if I'm not mistaken.
So they're ideal for like pre-pools right here, local yard pools, like local stuff, right?
That's what they're meant for. Yeah, that's what they're kind of meant for. They weren't never meant for like hauling too much overweight and stuff like that, because the motor was small.
How long does a full tank last, or how does that work?
The truck takes about 55 gallons.
55 gallons.
And we're paying like $3 right now a gallon. So we're not paying too much from what we used to pay. I think we used to pay $1.99, almost $2 a gallon. So we haven't seen much of a difference in the fuel that we spend, because it hasn't gone up that much.
What's the process like to fuel it up?
You have to have like a cover for your face, because when you unhook it, there's still kind of a little bit of fuel that comes out, but in form of vapor. And it's really like, it'll...
Like dry ice?
Like dry ice. I don't know if you've ever been close to it, but yeah, that's how it feels. It's like really cold. It's like it can mess up your hand. You know, we had a couple of drivers that been
hurt?
Close ones, hurt their palm of their hands or whatever. You're supposed to wear gloves, but because this was pre-COVID, so they would put a pair of gloves and everybody would stick their hands in there, and they would like they would share the same gloves until I'm like, even before COVID, I'm like, hey, we should buy our own gloves to touch this, because everybody's touching it. And you hook it up, press the power button, the thing goes off, fills up your truck. Then there's two processes. You pull the latch back once, and then you pull it again, and then it unhooks from the truck, and then you close the nozzle. But every time you fuel, you have to make sure you clean the nozzle and clean the nozzle on the pipe that you put in, because there's a lot of particulates of dirt, and when they get in there into the nozzle, it messes it up. Like it's very small pieces of rock or whatever, and then they mess up the nozzle. And when you mess up the nozzle, it starts leaking.
Yeah, it needs to be sealed shut.
And when you have small particulates of dirt, and they get caught up in there, and then when you take it off, like, fuel starts leaking. It's like, it's dangerous. So you have to actually pay attention. There's a couple of drivers that
it's like a silent. You don't see it like drip or nothing.
Actually, when it starts leaking, you'll see it. It looks like water, but it's like it's freezing cold. And it's just dripping. And it's dangerous because, well, the good thing is that the tank has a sensor that senses when there's gas or fuel, like a leak, so it shuts it off. But we've had a couple occasions where drivers have been, they call every time the alarm goes off, the ambulance comes. The bomberos.
Why?
Because it's like a lot of fuel, and it could be dangerous at some point, because the tanks sometimes are full. So they come out, they make sure they inspect what's going on. And
you're talking about the pump at the station?
At the site, but we have one in our yard.
Oh, okay.
That's why we have one in our yard. So we fuel up right there at the yard. And it's kind of, they call the fire truck all the time.
How does that work? Like having the fuel on site. Now they deduct that from the check? That gets kind of interesting.
At one point when I got my truck after, then yes, we would get deducted from.
Someone's LNG is fucking
somebody's
up.
fueling up. Somebody's fueling up right now. You should see it where in the yard when somebody does that, they unhook it and they take off because they know that they're gonna get in trouble. But they used to deduct it from the check. But since we started becoming independent, or we became independent like 2 years ago, none of that happens now. Now you use your debit card or whatever, or credit card, and then you just swipe it, and then it just charges you, and then it just goes towards your card or whatever.
So they made you guys do own authority as of recently?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you were leased on for a while.
Yeah, almost 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say pros and cons are of the LNG?
You got to really take care of it, or it'll mess up. You got to do that preventive maintenance stuff. A lot of people think, oh, this is a transmission, it's synthetic, I don't have to change it. And on the contrary, you have to. Because if you want your truck to last, you have to have, just like, the engine has to have new oil every 10,000 miles. Same thing with the trans.
It's automatic?
Automatic.
All LNGs are automatic?
All LNGs are automatic.
They have to be?
Not necessarily, but I think they work. Yeah, but I think they work efficiently like that. Because they're really good. Like I'm telling you, I pull overweights with that thing, and that thing, you could pull it like nothing.
It just blows the engine.
It just blew the engine a couple of times, but the transmission did all the work.
I couldn't help it.
But you see, the transmissions are really good because what gave out first was the motor. It wasn't the transmission, you know. It's like I never had a problem with the transmission, and luckily, I do the services. I know how important that is, but I do the services, and I tell the guys at work, I'm like, hey, do the service for the trans. It's good. It's the truck runs smoother. The truck it works differently. Yeah, I'll do it. They never do it.
What about engine wise? What are the costs to keep up with that?
Just what I have
oil changes and how does that work? Am I wrong for that?
No.
Tell me more about that, because I imagine like it's I'm already thinking like
it's a different thing.
Yeah, like
no. It's just like normal.
So
it's
what's
like
under
diesel
the
trucks.
hood? What's under the hood? Yeah.
Just like the same like a diesel truck. And it has it takes regular oil. It takes the LNG oil they call it, but it's because the temperature is much higher because of the fuel that's coming in. So it has to be a better oil. I don't know if it's better oil, but it's oil that withstands the temperatures. And we just change them every 8,000 miles, close to 8,000. I try to change it every 8,000.
That's really low.
Yeah. So it's like, I know some trucks, they go up to 10, but other than that, if you change the oil and you change your air filter often and you do the trans, you won't have any problems other than like air leaks and stuff like that you occasionally come by. But other than that, I've never had a problem with like the motor giving out, or again after the motor blew twice. Never had a problem with the transmission. Everything works good with the truck.
So the LNG is like just like a fuel source. I guess I'm just getting confused because I imagine like a Tesla, and I imagine like battery packs, and I imagine like the different infrastructure, of the drivetrain and all that. So this, for the record, it still has an engine. It still takes oil. It's just the combustion. It's done with the LNG.
With LNG. Yeah.
And not with diesel fuel.
And not with diesel, correct.
So you can still blow that motor. You can still.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just see them, and I just see them like some. In my mind, I think they're
more complicated.
Call me than dumb or whatever, but I see. I might even have the wrong truck in mind right now, because I imagine the ones with the big fat tanks on the sides, and it looks like they're freezing up.
Those are it.
Those
are it. They're either LNGs or CNGs. They could be either or. Two types of trucks, but also they could also be LNG and have like the. You probably seen them, but they have the back area. Yeah. It's like a big box, and those are also LNG, but they just have the tanks. Instead of having them on the side, they have them in the back.
I heard those are the more like the The tanks on the bottom is kind of like the deluxe edition, and then it'll do the same thing. But when you get the box, it's like you went the economic route. You know, that big ass fucking.
It's like a box of stuff with a box of tanks, like a bunch of tanks back there. What I saw the other day was kind of cool. I saw a hydrogen one. I don't know where I was at, but I saw a hydrogen one. So that's the new thing, you know, the hydrogen. That looks complicated. Yeah. I saw the back of it, and it just looks like a bunch of electrical hoses everywhere. And I'm like, wow, that looks very different than my truck. My truck, all kind of like only thing that's kind of different is this this thing that they call the heat exchanger, and that's kind of all the difference that it has from a diesel truck. It's this heat exchanger, this big tube that the fuel goes through it, and also coolant to try to cool it.
So it's not easy to steal, like.
I don't know if people I know people are getting into getting stuff, but I think it's for the older trucks. LNG is really. Because the yard is kind of, we have security, but we don't really park outside.
But that part in particular wouldn't be wise, right? Because it's still
because loaded. It would take it's loaded with fuel. You have to.
Bad idea.
Yeah, bad idea.
So
don't
we'll
even
only
think about
stick to CPC units and Cascadias.
Don't even think about stealing stuff like that. You're gonna you're gonna be like there with the red shield trying to take it off. I got you.
Gordo Mamon from Instagram is taking notes. He's the catalytic converter bandit. But yeah. So what's up with the whole clean truck stuff? You're gonna come up, right? You have an exemption, or
we have an exemption. We have
forever.
For 5 years, and 5 years is a rule that if the truck has been driving over 18 years or 800,000 miles, then it has to get.
No matter what it is?
No matter what it is. LNG or diesel. So now they have that rule. And so our trucks are 2009. So in 2027, we'll have to change trucks.
That sucks for someone that bought a truck with 600,000 miles.
Yeah.
And then they do an in-frame. And there's,
I don't know
they rebuild the engine and there's like.
Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna work. I don't
miles.
know. I don't know if the DMV is gonna get involved with that. I don't know how that's gonna be, for some people, because some people just bought trucks. Maybe like not right now, but maybe like a year ago, and the truck had like 600,000 miles. And I guess I talked to my father-in-law. He's like, "That's just breaking in a truck. That's nothing in mileage." But at the ports, they're gonna require you to have 800,000. Once it comes 800,000, you have to replace that. I don't know if you have to replace the motor and do an in-frame and have it documented. But that's going to be tough for some people.
Yeah, but there's been warning for a while. So
for a while, yeah. So
I hope that they can prepare.
Yeah.
But there's still...
I don't know if you're ever prepared for it.
Right.
Something so... like buying a house.
Yeah.
$100,000?
Yeah.
$140,000. It's like...
Yeah.
That's a big check. Like. So
what are you going to do?
I don't know. I don't even want to say it because I just feel like I don't even know what's going to happen in the next couple of 5-6 years. But I just want to push what I can to try to do what I can with my truck and then go from there. I kind of, I don't think it's very smart of me if I were to invest $100,000 and then down the line something else changes and they're like, you got to change your truck again.
Yeah, you could have milked it a little longer.
Then you're like stuck with like, okay, another truck, another payment, and okay.
But the thing is with your truck, they're rare, so I'm assuming they're rare. It's not like if someone wants to get rid of their old diesel truck right now, aprovechan that the market is hot. Someone in another state is going to buy it.
Yeah.
But there's not that many opportunities for you to get rid of an LNG truck, let's say.
Yeah, because it's...
Do you think? I don't think anybody wants a LNG truck out of state.
No, they don't. They wouldn't last.
So how would you play your cards there?
You'd have to get rid of it, like, completely. That would have to be the only thing, or part it out. I don't think that's a good idea, like, to sell it to somebody and then they'd have to, I don't think they'll last that long, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Another 5 years, those jet trucks are going to be gone through a lot of
Excuse
stuff.
me. Yeah. So, is there anything you want to add about your truck? That a fun fact that most people don't know about having an LNG truck?
It's kind of funny when you get into a LNG when it's automatic.
Okay.
When I first got into the truck, my father-in-law was like, "You want to go and try it out?" And I'm like, "Okay." And I'm like, "Where's the lever?" There's no lever. You're gonna put it right here. You can put drive. And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then it's just like learning how to do the thing. It's like, but as time goes by, you just get to. It's very easy, right? So you just press drive. You make sure that you have your foot on the brake, and it just goes straight. You don't have to be moving any gears. You don't have to go through all that stuff, and the truck does all the job. The transmission does all the work. So it's kind of good.
What about your reverse when you're bumping docks? Is it true that it's really sudden? Like you hit the dock nasty?
Yeah. It'll hit because
it
has a lot of power.
Have your brake on there then.
Yeah, but it has a lot of power.
Cool. To compared to leased on and having own authority, what did you notice any difference or
a lot of more responsibility on our part?
Did your rates go up?
They changed a lot of stuff recently, so
okay.
The company is kind of helping us out. It's kind of helping us a little bit with the whole situation right now. We worked a lot during the pandemic. We were really busy during the pandemic, but then we started getting a little bit slow recently, and kind of like, we brought it up to management, and kind of they made the things possible so we can make a little bit more. They started doing stuff like on Saturdays and Sundays we got work, and you could come in and, you do a couple of loads. And so the company has been helping us a lot in that sense, but we rely a lot on how the ports are working, and if you're kind of like, you get frustrated with being at the ports for a long time, you kind of like, I'll just do 2 and I'll go home.
What about LNG? Like idling?
They don't waste a lot of fuel.
So you don't mind idling a lot? Okay, it's not. There's not a hack. Like okay.
And it doesn't do like the regen thing. Don't think it does the regen that the diesel trucks do. You just drive it, and But I know that the diesel trucks, you have to regen and put the system into that regenerative system where it accelerates or whatever.
Like in the summertime, does your LNG like evaporate faster? And, that's a myth.
That's probably it could be true. Yeah. I mean, there's some things when like when you sit the truck for like a week, you're like losing 8 or 7, 8, maybe 10 gallons. Yeah, cause.
Hey, but now that you're on authority, you haven't been curious about exploring, like hauling for someone else, or
not really.
Nothing enticing, like. I mean, that's the point of own authority to hop around if you would like to.
Yeah, but the company doesn't look good on that. They don't like it. They don't like you working at one place and working at another. I think
your own authority.
I know, but
you
can, yeah. But I think it's we have enough work so where you don't have to. You know what I mean? We have enough work where you don't have to do that. And luckily,
that's
it's because of that.
You don't need to say the company name, but I think it's interesting that everyone for legal purposes, and now that company has less liabilities because now you're all on authority.
Yeah.
You're not running their permits. It's not on the side of your truck and all that. And I'm assuming that everyone probably has the same rate, even though they all have their own authority. So that sounds interesting to me.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's new to them as well, and they haven't really
got into it.
Got that, like, oh, you know what? I can charge what I want. And if it makes sense to you, pay it.
Yeah.
If not, then I'm gone.
Yeah.
But
like I tell you,
I'm just saying.
Yeah. But like I tell you, we have enough work to where you don't have to be doing that,
Yeah.
I understand going up, doing another load for somebody else or like a favor for somebody else. But
having a lot of work is not an excuse to pay the same.
That's the thing. And like I tell you, it's like it took a while, but we're making more than what we used to. So that's a good thing.
That's fair.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, we're kind of like, we all got together and kind of realized that, you know what? We got a lot more responsibilities.
I think people got to know that like own authority is more than like bragging rights.
Yeah.
It comes with its benefits.
Yeah.
If it comes with its risks,
Yeah.
that's why it comes with the reward as well.
Yeah. So you got a bunch of group of guys that you're like, okay, you know what? We have to make more. We have to.
Yeah.
And now they find out and they're like, how can we help you guys? Well, try this or do this. Okay. And they do it.
Yeah.
And
What changes? Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
What happened? What changes did you notice from leased on to own authority? Now you got to do the drug enrollment program, with the clearinghouse. Is that the same
Clearinghouse,
shit?
yeah, the same thing.
The audit.
The
Keep track of all your stuff. You know,
receipts,
your files, permits.
It's called the franchise board tax.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like the road tax that we all know.
Yeah.
So you have to pay it in April, and it's $800.
The EIN, get the corporation set up, payroll.
Mm-hmm. You have to do
two
all
separate taxes.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yeah, and you have to
There
make sure.
better be a fucking reward for that shit.
Gotta make a little bit of money, I guess. But I mean, it's a lot of things that now you have to be responsible more. Like, you know, the other day I forgot to, it's like a form, it's called MC 150. And supposedly in the end of February, I was supposed to turn it in. And I did my taxes. And then the lady at the taxes was like, you didn't put the form in. Like, he got you right here. It doesn't. Mm-hmm. I'm like, wait, I thought I did pay it. And then I go back and I'm like, the lady at the office that helps us, she's like, you didn't pay it.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't pay the $20 and they could fine you like $1,000 a month or something like that. I don't know, some outrageous number. Damn. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, well, let's pay it. And then we paid it. And luckily, well, who knows, you know, who knows what'll happen. But now I know every 2 years you have to send it. It's through the Secretary of State or something like that. It's, I forget what the form is called, but it's like, it's a paper you're supposed to fill out with all your information. And if you don't fill it out, then you can get fined.
Well, like the statement of information?
That one.
There you go. Okay.
And that one gives you, I guess you fill it out every 2 years or something like that.
Let them know the status. Like, have you grown? How many more trucks you added?
If anything is
same
changed.
address.
So,
okay.
Now we know every 2 years we gotta write it. So now I have it on I usually keep a binder of my things, of the documents that I have, so that way whenever I have an issue, I'm like, okay, I'll go back to it. I'm like, okay, I gotta take care of this now.
Mm-hmm. Good times. Own authority, yeah. So if not in trucking, what would you do?
That's a tough question. I don't know what I would be doing. I'm glad that I'm doing this. I'm glad that I'm working at the ports. I'm very grateful for that. The thing that I look forward to is like one day I want to pull like overweights. You've seen those overweights that are like immensely huge.
Yeah, like when they're escorted by CHP and all that.
I would love to do something like that. That would be like something that I would dream of doing.
But that's still trucking. But
that's
okay.
still trucking.
Yeah.
But it's something inside the field it's like a unique thing, right? If you know how to pull those trucks.
Yeah.
That not everybody knows how to do it. And that's how I felt when I got the dolly. When I had the dolly under my... Get out of my way. I'm young and like I've got this dolly and it's like not a lot of people have them. In our company, we only had like 10 guys. Yeah, exactly. Rolling around.
With the overweight 20-footers by ICTF.
That's all we took.
Charging that overweight fee.
Yeah, that's all we did. And the hazardous too. I would pull the hazardous when the 4th of July came around.
Yeah.
I would pull out the hazardous from there. The 1.4s, 1.3s.
Humildemente. But, yeah. I was still picturing, like, because I have seen them. You have, what is it, a Sterling? Or what's the
it's
truck?
a Sterling in my truck.
Yeah, with the dolly, like the setup.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people make money with those trucks. Like, a lot of people think you have to have, like, a cool truck to... You know what I mean?
There's a guy
when I was younger, I was really into, like, I want a cool truck. Like, I probably wouldn't have driven that truck. It's stupid, even if it paid more than driving a Freightliner classic, mid-roof or something. Stupid. But it's not all looks,
Yeah.
It's a work tool.
Yeah. And if you have your work tool in order, then it'll take care of you.
You know who has one done up? That guy, the Crow. I've seen his done up.
Mm-hmm. He's from it's a brother company of ours.
Okay.
And he actually has the one that they use when they were selling people into buying the LNGs. It actually has like power windows, and he has the pipes on the side.
Yeah.
But he has it really done up. Like he has spinners. They're not called spinners. What are they called?
They are called spinners.
They are spinners, huh?
Yeah.
But they're just on a semi truck.
Yeah.
Huge.
He had an all blacked out truck a long time ago.
Oh yeah.
That's where he got the name, the Crow.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it was a Freightliner, all black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something similar to yours.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Oh.
Murdered Out Gang.
I think those are cool. I don't know. Just when I used to see that truck, I'm like, damn, that thing looks sick. There's a guy at work that has like a Peterbilt, and it's a day cab. Man, most beautiful thing. I know how much the payments are though. I wouldn't want it.
I think he got it stretched out.
No.
There's one that got an air ride added.
I don't know if it's his. It's a Peterbilt. It's like a blue one.
Okay.
You know which ones I look into though? The ones that I love is that group of Yanko trucks. You remember those?
Yeah.
The ones that are like, they have that beautiful paint jobs, like purple and black.
Yeah.
He has like 5 of them or something.
One of them had a cool fifth wheel cover. I think it had artwork of like trouble window.
Something like that.
And I guess with time, the people in the line are becoming skeletons or some shit like that. I thought that was cool.
Trippy. Yeah, those trucks were trippy.
I make a sick ass T-shirt. You know. What would you do if you were in trucking? What about in the meantime? Do you have any side hustles or hobbies?
Occasionally, I dab into it, but I got into reselling.
Reselling?
Yeah, like buying something and reselling it. And
there's a word for that. What is that?
They don't like our kind though. People don't like it because it's
arbitrage. No, that's different.
That's something different.
Like online, right?
I kind of like.
So resell, you go look for items that you can resell online, but you buy them locally.
Yeah, and sometimes at a raffle. It's not necessarily that you win something, or you just go into a store and you go, oh yeah, you're the first one to get it. It's just sometimes it just works the way that it works. So I got into kind of buying clothes at first, but I kind of messed up. I spent a lot of money into that, and then I wouldn't sell them. And I'm like, oh man, I'm stuck with like 50 shirts, size large. It's like they're not gonna fit me, but I'm like, what am I gonna do with this?
Damn, sounds familiar. That's how I feel with some books that I have in the garage, because I saw that guy Reezy. Have you heard of him? Reezy Resells. And he was doing that book stuff. Like, there's an app, and you scan the barcode, and you see if it's in high demand, and then you buy it, put it online on Amazon.
Okay.
That wasn't sounding shit. I got like a shitload of books right there.
And they take a part of it too, so I was like, you don't even make any. You kind of like pay for it. You're like, okay, I'm not gonna do that anymore. So I kind of bought all these shirts, and then I started getting into buying certain things that were like kind of more specific, and then like rolling dice. I bought some rolling dice for like $20 from this company called Supreme, and then I sold it for $50.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm like, dang, $30?
Yeah,
$30. Nobody gives you $30, but I just made $30.
Yeah.
So,
and that's your play money. And I mean, you don't touch it.
I kind of, it's helped me a lot when work is slow. It's like you don't even think about it, but you're like, okay, it helps out. It's like a little bit extra money, but it helps out.
It's still more than the bank will give you with a savings account.
Something like that, if you think about it.
Got like 12 cents in like 6 months for having like 10 grand at one point. You know what I mean? Like, gee, thanks.
Thanks, guys.
What would you do with 10 grand in the reselling world?
Oh, wow. If you took care of it correctly, you could make it into 25 grand maybe. If you knew what you were buying.
Would that implicate I mean, tax purposes. So you're doing all that under like just personal.
Yeah, like offer
just,
up kind of stuff. I don't get. I haven't got involved to where like, oh, I'm gonna have to start another LLC.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That's what I meant. Yeah,
none of that. I'm just doing it for
cash money.
I like the thrill of getting paid for things. It's like, okay, cool. Let's just not meet up. Sometimes the meetups are kind of weird, but you get used to it. Little by little, you're like, okay, look, if you're cool with them, they'll be cool with you, and hopefully nothing bad happens. You just try to take precautions where you can. But one time I got kind of weirded out because I had an experience where I had a Kobe ball. Kobe had just died like a year before that, and I got a hand on this Kobe numbered ball. It was like $300 from Spalding, the basketball company, and I ended up selling it for like $1,000.
What was weird about it?
It was numbered. It was just there was only like 800 balls made, or 400 or 500. I'm not really sure. I don't remember right now, but it was just numbered, so there was no more balls that were gonna be made, and they were like in this glass case. It was a nice ball, but it's just for the person that loves that sport and like having things that are like unique. But I kind of felt weird when I went to go deliver it, because it was just like the whole thing was kind of weird, and I kind of got scared, and I'm like, maybe I shouldn't do this, because I felt like if they could have, they would have stolen it from me. They would have stolen probably the ball and taken my money. Because what they did was, when we met up, they had all 20s to pay for the ball. They had all 20s, and they had it in an envelope. And it's just like, imagine taking the time to count $1,000 in 20s when it could have been as easy to get large bills and just be over with the situation. But luckily, I kind of knew something, and I kind of I did it at a Starbucks.
Yeah.
So where there was cameras, luckily there was people around. Something was telling me that was kind of weird.
But that's like what, like 50 20s?
Yeah. I imagine the machine does it in 2 seconds. It would have taken me. But you're nervous because you're like, it's a lot of money, and the person's trying to look at the ball, and you're like, what if they run away with it, and what if this is fake money? And let me just get my marker out and do a little
spread them out.
Yeah, I gotta check out everything.
Yeah.
Okay, they're all good. Now I have to count them. And he's still asking me about the ball, and I'm like counting them, and I'm losing count. And I'm like, oh, what? Okay, everything's here. And he's like, yeah, everything's there. Okay, and we're done. Took the ball, and then from there on, I kind of took more precautions with like, hey, you know what? Let me just sell, so that way I don't have to deal with that kind of situation. It's dangerous. I've heard a lot of things going on over there where people are looking at shoes and stuff like that, and then they jump you. They take your shoes, and then you're out the shoes and your money.
Well, my cousin resells shoes.
Yeah.
He has good days.
Yeah.
And I think there's bad days too.
Yeah. I'm luckily I work, so it's like I feel bad for the people that just
live off of that. He said about something about going to show the shoes at a shoe shop, but there's these kids outside like, what you got? What, like they want to buy it before you go in there.
Yeah, there's kind of that situation.
Kind of weird, like
and then you don't know if they're there to steal it from you too.
Yeah,
and they don't. The value of your shoe. So it's like I had a kind of similar situation where I won a pair of shoes, the Travis Scott shoes.
It's lit.
That's him, and I won them through their website. And I kind of like, I went into a store, and I had been holding them for a while. I had been holding them for like 6 months. I actually was going to wear them.
Yeah.
I told my wife, I'm like, hey, if I ever win this kind of shoes, I want to wear them. But then something came over me, like during that time, I was like at work and stuff like that. I was like, why am I going to have $1,000 pair of shoes on my feet? Like, does that make me better?
With a $2 calzone. Pinche calzonudo with
$1,000 pair of shoes. So I'm like, wouldn't this benefit my family? Couldn't I pay something down with this? Yeah. What am I doing? What is it? Is it gonna bring attention to anybody? Is anybody gonna like me more or less because of them? It's just people are gonna get impressed by them. Yes.
Imagine when you're walking out of the LNG truck,
your $200. Hey, the old guys don't know anything about no shoes.
Right.
They're like, you, I could care less.
All I know is Vans, homie.
And
Hey, shout out Lamar and then, Wow.
those are the shoes. Hey, I got your shoes, but in the more expensive ones.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Like,
Oh, you're about to. Oh, there you go. Oh.
they're called the Revenge Storms.
Are they getting sued by Vans or is that part of Vans?
No, I don't know what happened. They made a deal though.
Because Tyga's getting. I think Tyga might be
for
getting
those wavy.
the wavies. They look pretty cool, but I wouldn't wear them. I don't have the confidence to rock that yet. Yeah.
Be like, hey, what's going on with this guy?
Let me get my money up, then I'll start dressing all weird.
Then you can be like,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I don't know. Something about having the money is like, yeah.
Then you're like, all right,
I got this.
they can't tell me anything.
I got, pull up to the port with a neon fucking fishnet vest. So,
They can be like, what's going on with this guy?
You got money, everything's funny,
But yeah, I've had some things where like I tell you, like I sold a pair of shoes and I went into the shop and the shoes, the value was like $1,400. So that's what they were going to pay me. And so then I'm like, okay, I'll do this. I'll sell them. And I told my wife, I'm like, I don't want to have them on me. I feel like, why do I need them for? So I'm like, I got rid of them.
Yeah.
So it's better. It's for the better. We sold it and then we were able to pay something down and I feel better for it.
Reinvest that into the resale business.
Kind of, yeah. So I just kind of put a couple of dollars here and there and I'm like, okay, if I ever have this opportunity, if I sell this, then I can buy this. Or this is how I see it. Recently I sold another pair of shoes and it's like it wasn't too much profit, right? It was like $250 I made off of the pair of shoes. But I'm like, I wanted this case with the camera on it. And I told my wife, I'm like, hey, I'm going to put it towards that. I think I deserve it. I won the $250, so I'm going to put it into that. So I buy things like that, And sometimes when I win something, I'm kind of happy about it. I'm like, okay, I make a little extra money on the side. It's not bad. But I don't really focus myself too much into it.
Okay.
Because I know it's
let it come naturally.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So, what led to seeking that extra hustle?
We were slow at work.
Oh, okay.
We were slow at work, and I was just trying to figure out what I can do to try to make a little bit of money on the side.
Okay.
And that was it. We were just slow at work, and I won a pair of shoes that I've never used. I don't know if people see it, but they're from a band. They're like fluffy yellow shoes, bright yellow shoes. And excuse me. And I won them in a raffle that supposedly is like impossible to win, and I won them. And from there on, it was just a bug. It was like, hey, you can sell this, you can resell it, and I made $1,000 off a pair of $100 shoes right now. Just like, I don't even make that in a day at work, and I have to hustle to make that money in the day at work. Hustle and be there till like 4 or 5 in the afternoon. You can make it, but I just made it just buying a pair of shoes.
Yeah.
It's like, just makes you think, hey, what else can you do? There's a lot of things that we can do extra.
Yeah. Any hardships you've been through, and how you overcame that? Every day when I go into the port,
I want to cry.
It's a hardship.
You know what? That's why my father-in-law is not like really, because he kind of thinks he's like that old school mentality that you got to work to your day's done, And kind of like what I do now is I kind of work to where I feel comfortable. Like, okay, I'm going to leave now.
Yeah.
Because I know what it's like to have a family, but also to not be with them. And my dad, when we were younger, we would have a lot of time. He would be at work and we would be at home. And I kind of think I'm not going to miss a lot of things of my son that he does, I'm not going to be like that. I can work every single day and I can be there till 8 o'clock at night. And you know what? I'll see him for an hour and that's fine. But I'm tired most of the time when I get home, so I take a small rest,
Yeah.
to kind of like center myself, and then I hang around with him. The things that he does is kind of funny. The faces that he makes and stuff like that. That's my first son,
Yeah.
my first kid, and it's just like I want to enjoy that. I think work will come, you know, but I think the memories that you create with your family are just the most important thing. And I think if we don't value that when they're there for you, then we won't value them later, you know, because you can give your kid everything. You can give him a house, you can give him a car, but the things that you're gonna remember, those things that you remember that you go through, you're like, I remember when he did this. I remember when he did that. I remember him walking. I remember him learning how to walk. And yeah, sometimes it's kind of like you also have to be, you're the sole provider for your family. So you also have to be like, get that out of your head sometimes. You're like, hey,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I got to hustle. This week I got to hustle. This week I got to bring it down. You know, I got to make this much. I got to work. I got to stay late. I got to work on Saturday. But sometimes just being there, to some people it's just like, you're being lazy, but I deserve it. I think I deserve it. I work myself to where I wake up every single morning at 3:30. I drive to Long Beach. When we get pre-dispatched, we already have work, so just get my truck, turn it on. I fuel up the day before, so I'm already ready and ready to work. Go pick up my empty, go wait at the port, sleep an hour and a half. Kind of like a worm, you know, because you can't really sleep in LNG. So day cab, so you're like all uncomfortable. But you're there, you're the number one in line, so you're kind of like pushing to try to, you know, finish the day off early. So that's what I do every single morning, Monday through Friday, and sometimes on Saturdays, you know, when I feel like it.
So the hardship is work-life balance?
Something like that.
You're trying to
balance everything,
change it up.
Yeah, I know there's some things that I'm not doing that I should be doing, right? Like in my case, I have to do exercise. I have to. Yeah. But a veces lo descuido because I'm thinking about work and I'm thinking about what I can do with my family or what can we do as an activity.
Yeah. That time is limited when you're there, and it's like, what do I do with this time that I have at home?
Yeah. And it's like, I see it differently, you know. But like I tell you, like when I resell things and then I make $500 off of them, I'm like, well, I can take off a day of work and I can hang around with you guys and do things like that.
Excuse me. Been going hard lately.
He woke up at 7. Pobre Luis.
The lights are brighter today. But yeah, I think that applies to a lot of truckers trying to find that work-life balance. You want to provide, pero está cabrón, you know? The cuddling doesn't pay the bills sometimes.
Yeah. And the thing is that luckily, like I haven't been through a hardship, like something really difficult that happened to me that I have to be like, okay, you know, I know my parents go through that all the time because they're getting to the age where their parents are dying. And kind of like, it's tough, but luckily everything, you know, we all have our problems, you know, we all have our things that we go through. But
tell me your problems.
This is therapy session. Got the latest therapy session.
You're thinking about it. I'll just play it. Tell me something that'll get you to sleep on the couch. Let it out.
Don't wash the dishes.
What's your worst day at the port? When I go in it.
You know, when I really don't have a lot of worst days. I have a lot of experiences in there. It's just you learn from them, you know. I think it goes hand in hand with probably the next question, something like that.
Okay. So what's up with all the doors swinging? Pa, 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 pa.
So
this guy, there was a video that was brought to my attention This guy was just swinging his door open on another truck that was right next to him, and they were going at it. The other guy, oh yeah, well, F you, F you. It looked like, and there's the door swinging back and forth. Like, I was like, oh. And later, then we talked, about how that happened. So you want to share that story then?
Yeah, kind of. It was a weird thing. It was at a port of Yangming, and there's like a lane that goes to the empties, but there's also a rule that you can go on the other side if you're not waiting to get the empty line. So I'm with the chassis because we're gonna pick up some free flow from Yangming, and a driver. He's a driver. I'm pretty sure he's a driver, 100%. He's a driver. He's not his truck. He comes at the opposite side, but usually they just stay to the right, closer to the chassis, so that way they give a chance for the people that are trying to go around the empty line. And this driver comes down, and the first thing he does is he stops his truck right in the middle of the place. Right? He stops the truck right in front, because I'm trying to stay like closer to this side so that way they don't hit me, because it's dangerous. It's like a lot of movement there. Three rows of trucks is kind of difficult right there. So then this driver comes down and he pulls out his phone and he's recording me. Took out his phone and recording me. I'm like, what
like
is he doing?
You're in the wrong or what?
I don't know what he's doing. Who is he recording? Why is he recording me? What's going on? Pulls up next to me.
Wait, because the way you said it, it sounds like you should have been recording him.
Yeah, but I don't need to do that. I don't need to. I don't know what's going through his mind. He gets next to me and he says some things. He's like, hey, you're not doing the things right. He tells me, you're not doing this how you're supposed to. And I'm like, hey, buddy, are you new here? Because I can just let you know that this is how it works here at Yangming. You have to make way for that other line because we're moving on this side. No, you don't even know what you're doing. You're dumb. You're a dumb truck driver. Blah, blah, blah. More words are exchanged. And worse words, You want me to bust your window open or I'm going to bust your hands open? Do whatever you want to do. But I'm going to tell you one thing. You need to get out of my way because I'm working here.
And so you guys get a visual. The trucks are facing each other. They're not going in the same direction.
Yeah, I should have just put up my window and just...
Yeah.
That would have been the smartest thing to do.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, I should have just done that. I think at that time I was going through something and I was just like, I don't like to get picked on. One thing about me is that when I was younger, I used to get picked on.
And now you're like, you ain't having it no more.
I won't have it. I won't have it. I won't have it. When you don't know what's going on and you want to pick on somebody, you better make sure you're doing the right thing. And you're doing it because there's a reason. He doesn't work for the port. He doesn't work for security. He's a truck driver. He has nothing to say to nobody. He needs to stick to his lane, do his job, get his truck, get his money, get his life in order. He doesn't need to be telling anybody what to do. You know what I mean? And it's just like when he comes on and he's telling me all this stuff, I'm thinking, what's wrong with this guy, dude? Like, where does he come about telling me what to do when he's a truck driver? A security can tell me, hey, you're doing this thing wrong. I'm going to kick me out. And then kick you out for a week. But not another truck driver. Not another truck driver. They shouldn't be doing that.
At least not in that way.
Not in that way.
Yeah.
He's new. I'm pretty sure that's why he didn't know. But that doesn't vouch for you acting like a fool. Especially when there's traffic. So there's this whole scene that's going on, right? And then he's like, he gets the hammer out, and then I get my door and I'm push it against his truck because I feel like he needs to get out of my way. And then he pulls his truck, like his door, and then he slams it on my door, and we're slamming doors over here, and coming to no end. Yeah. He pulls out a hammer, and then I kind of get a little bit nervous, and I'm like, okay, I'm done. And
all right, buddy, you win. I'm gone.
And that was it. That was the exchange. Somebody recorded it, and it happens all the time at the ports.
Here we go. What? I feel a certain way when people record. Go, let it out.
No, I'm glad he recorded it because it made me see it in a different way. It made me think, hey, man, somebody's always watching you, what you're doing. So it's just like, you got to be careful. maybe at that time I didn't understand it that way, but later I understood it. Like, if nobody knew about it, then maybe I would be doing it more often.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
It brought awareness to how you let people trigger you, and then you reacted.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, I still get mad at certain people, you know. I still get, but it's just like a real quick thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I kind of like, okay, I got out what I needed to get out, you know. And it's just like, okay, let me relax again. Let me relax. Let me just control the way that I act, you know.
Yeah.
Because you can't be like that all the time. You're gonna get sick.
Yeah.
You're gonna get sick, and then you're not gonna like the work. And I love my work, and so when it goes to that, it's just like you have to think about it, you know, 2-3 times the things that you do. But yeah, there's in there you have to be very careful. You can get kicked out of a port because of that.
Yeah, rock, paper, scissors. This one is the middle finger, door, hammer. The hammer one.
And
what's with drivers pulling out hammers, though, man?
It's because I'm big. I'm kind of tall.
But I've seen a lot of like, why the hammer? Like, what?
It's always the same thing.
Are you gonna really use that hammer?
Yeah.
Like,
or are you gonna, like, if you think about it, are you gonna lose your job, lose your livelihood over an argument? Like, hey, you cut me off. I had an APL before. Yeah. An old head came up to me and he was like, I'm gonna beat you up. And he got next to me, and you know, he wasn't that tall, but he was, you know. So I'm like, he's gonna do it. We're gonna fight over this thing. And it's just like, you think about it, you're like, and it was kind of not funny, but it's like, we kind of got in each of our trucks right after the argument. Nobody saw us.
like to see, like, give the impression that you're gonna get something. See who
hey,
leaves.
No joke. No joke.
Oh yeah.
And I think that he
was bluffing.
No, he went around the route of, he thought about what he was doing, and that impressed me so much that he did what he did. He came around the truck, and I thought he was gonna open it and take me out of the truck, but he came around the truck and he apologized to me. And he said, I'm sorry for what I did. I didn't mean to do it like that. And that...
You're like, nah, man, you done fucked up. And then you got the hammer.
No, I don't use the hammer. I'm too big for the hammer, bro. I don't need to be doing that. I'm too big for the hammer. But that impressed me in the person. Like, especially because how often do you see somebody say sorry for something that they do?
Yeah.
And he did that. And then now I'm like, sometimes, like, when I do things, I'm like, hey, man, I didn't mean it like that or whatever. It kind of...
The door incident, you think it would have gone different?
If what?
Or now you're thinking, who should have apologized?
I don't think so. It would have been the same thing.
Yeah?
I would have felt the same way.
Oh, okay.
We get pushed around, not pushed around, but we get bullied sometimes in the port by clerks, by security. We also have to deal with everything that has to do with our job, which, even though people think it's just going into the port and taking out a container, it entails a lot more.
Just sitting down.
Yeah, it entails a lot more.
Yeah.
You're working with the clock the whole day. You're working with the clock because you know what time they go to break. You know what time they go to lunch. If they go early, you're stuck. And you put into that a clerk that gets mad at you, says, you don't know what you're doing. Okay. You try to go about your day. Or security tells you, hey, I'm going to kick you out of the line. You're going to be the last one there. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then you get a driver that wants to be smart with you. Mm-hmm. It's like, we don't have to be doing that to each other.
Yeah.
We have to try to help each other. At least the drivers do. Because everybody else is not going to be towards you.
You got any other stories?
Not really.
Okay, then. Now let's go for the solutions. If you could change one thing at the port, what would it be?
What if they all worked the same way? What if they all kind of went to lunch at the same time and came back at the same time? And we would kind of work in that way, at least in that sense. Mm-hmm. Their schedules would be like, because I don't think that whole like overlapping schedule thing will work.
Why not? Everyone seems to be wanting that lately.
Because it's like they're stuck with some certain way of doing things for years. It's like when you want to take somebody out of that, it's going to be difficult. especially when it's the same thing, you know. I just think that if they came at the same time to lunch, or they went to lunch at the same time, and they came back at the same time, every port, then we won't have as much congestion. I mean, some of the ports work during lunch. There's some ports that work the empty line during lunch. There's some ports that do it like this. There's some ports that do it like that. Yangming just has some longshoremen that leave at 10:30 from their machines.
I heard that it's one side they did something to where on one side they have a different schedule, and on the other side it's regular schedule.
So they leave at 10:30.
The China side and the Yangming.
They leave
side.
at no. Actually, now they all got together. Everybody leaves at 10:30.
Oh, okay.
And they come back at 1:30.
Wait, no.
Yeah.
Huh.
10:30. And they were doing it for a while, but then it started getting really packed, and I think they're like, okay, this is not gonna work. It's not for, the lines were getting crazy inside, and it was getting all crazy. So I think they just realized that they're like, hey, we just gotta, shout out to those people too, that longshoremen that get up to the machine and just start cracking work.
Yeah.
That's the only reason that, we're moving as many as we are, because there's those set of people, that group of people that just go in there and I'm just working. I'm working. Boom, 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 boom. I'm working. Boom, 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 boom. I'm working. And there's those few that
yeah,
I'm working. And that makes it difficult for us.
Yeah.
When we want to move 3-4 containers a day, you can only move 2. But I guess we're never gonna stop that either, They're just gonna work however they want to work. But if they keep their schedule, they keep it up. I mean, I think it would be better for everybody. But right now, that's what is affecting us, that schedule that they.
Because a lot of people say that after the lunch, that's when it's a whole different world because of that lunch break. People, that's how the lines accumulate and all that other shit.
And I understand, like, trying to help the thing, but I don't know. Does it have to all come down to, like, maybe it being like a free flow style kind of work? Does maybe the companies need to do, like, say, hey, you know what, we'll pay for a free flow instead of doing this whole thing? And
yeah, that can get complicated. I thought about that a while back, but then it's like, even like eliminate like who's candidates, but then that's a whole another monster, because they have their customers, the carriers have their customers, and everything is categorized accordingly as far as what container is yours and which one's not. But imagine it becomes like a longshoreman thing, and now it's like they do the free flow. Like the CDL holders all are longshoremen, and whatever containers in that pile, you get it. Oh, look, it turns out you're going to Ontario today.
Yeah.
But what if it turns out you're going to Arizona? Yeah. Like, what happens there? See? Like.
Yeah, I get you.
But that sounds very nice. Like, load them as they come.
Yeah.
But there could definitely be another way to organize things.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's always something that, like, an issue with something, If it's not the empty issue, it's the loaded issue, Yeah. Sometimes we have when the boat comes and they have to load it, it's like they do it where the empties are getting taken off. Why don't they just figure out a way to plan the site so that way they just have all the empties in one area? I get it, it's just, there's a lot of traffic, and especially when they release like MSCs are going to be accepted here, so you got like 300, 400 people coming at the same time trying to burn an empty, and it's like, okay, we can only do so much, and everybody's doing their part, but it just, when you see it in our way, it's like, why would they put 2 machines right here to work the boat and make us like wait for this spot right here in the middle? It's like, how could you think of like planning this? But I get it, because it's like so much that comes into the port. It's like you get to a point where you're like, it's just overwhelming. It's like, I don't know where else to put this stuff. I don't know where else you want me to put it. It's like, it doesn't fit in between here. It doesn't fit between here. We already have these cans here. So that must be a tough job too, having to figure out all those movements.
Yeah, it's easy to say do it this way or that way until you're actually there doing it. But Kind of like forklift drivers at the warehouses trying to tell you how to park.
Yeah.
And then they go like this. You want to try it? Then?
Come over here and do it. I'll see how many times you cry.
Just an example. Not I've driven forklift before, but unofficially, just borrowed it real quick. What's your favorite thing about the job at the moment?
The freedom it gives me, the ability to be home at 2 in the afternoon, or I can be at home at 11, or I can be home at 4. I choose to, I know sometimes the company doesn't see it, that efficiently that I go home because they want us to take out work, I get it, but sometimes that helps my sanity.
Yeah, resetting.
Yeah, because I can't just be like, I have a couple of days where I like hit hard, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna work to this time, and okay, it looks kind of like I'm gonna have a good day. And there's some days where you have a bad day, and then the next day you're coming in and with that same mentality, and you're like, I'm gonna have And what I try to do is like I tell all the truck drivers too, and the guys that listen to me, I'm like, hey, don't bring that negative energy, because it's tough. Mm-hmm. It's tough when you've had a bad day the day before, and then again they give you another tough day to have to go through, But for the most part, it's just working around it. And in my case, it's like that freedom that it gives me. I never had that in another job, and probably will never. But it's kind of cool in a way. It kind of lets you.
And what's the least favorite?
The least favorite about the job that I have right now. I really don't have any least favorite about the job that I have right now. Just know that I got to try to figure out how to get everything in control. When my truck is down, I feel down. I know that. And it's just like that day I don't have a good day, really. I get home, I'm kind of like, my mind is somewhere else. I'm like, man, I could have worked today. But my truck was down. It's like, okay.
Now I feel better.
Uh-huh.
Like you're not hard on yourself because you know it's out of your control.
Yeah, because it's not something that happened, like a hardship that happened to me, or something that affects me. It's just like a thing that I was like, oh, I don't feel that good. Okay, I take this day off. But sometimes, like, you remember that we were talking about how, the cuddling doesn't pay the bills. Yeah, that's the important part. Yeah, it's like you can't be at home all day either, because you gotta go to work. You're the sole provider for your family, and you gotta do what you gotta do, and the sacrifices you have to make, you gotta make them.
That's right. I got a couple more. We're almost at the end. Any advice for anyone thinking about coming into the ports?
Don't run around. Don't run around in there and cause chaos. A lot of these old heads, they don't like that. And
why do you keep whispering?
I don't know.
You're whispering.
I'm writing a book.
Make sure
I want to make it dramatic, or what?
Look here, youngster.
Don't
be running.
Don't be running around in there. Don't run in there.
Because if you're running, you might trip and fall. And let me tell you.
It's gonna hurt. You're a jerk. But the thing is that listen to the things that you pay attention to, the things that you're doing. I get it. You're young. You wanna do things real quick, and you have a truck that can do that. But when it comes down to like throwing the truck at people and learning bad habits of people, that's a thing that's, especially when you see it with a young person doing it, then you know that you're like, so you kind of had your CDL for too long. Yeah. Because you don't realize that if you smash these trucks together, you and him are going to be out of service, and you're going to have to repair whatever you guys messed up. Yeah. This is not a joke. I mean, maybe for the people that like the other day, we were at Hanjin, and there was this guy that was recording. I don't know what he was on, Snapchat or what he was doing, but he was recording something on his phone. Guess what the truck is? It's in neutral, without the brakes on.
Oh, you saw that?
So the truck is coming back, and I see the guy on his phone like this, Snapchatting or whatever.
Yeah.
Good job. Boom, backs it right into a Mack truck, which is owned by this company.
Why did you take out your phone and record that?
I experienced it. I experienced it. Yeah. I know everybody would have been laughing, but I experienced it. So then you see the guy, and it just rolled back, and it hit the front of the truck. Yeah. Now, if that was somebody else's truck, that was their truck, they would have been mad. Because they're like, what if I got off the truck right now in this instant and I pulled the pins? I would have got smashed right here. Mm-hmm. And that guy would have been in his truck, and he would have never noticed. And I would have got squished right here in between this truck and the container. And I kind of felt like, what's going on with this? These are drivers. Mm-hmm. You can tell. When they're drivers, you can tell. Like new drivers, you can tell. Because they just do things that just don't make sense.
The way I know if it's a company driver or owner operator is the way they take the speed bumps. Well, who knows? But maybe it's a pissed off owner operator. But
oh, you're having a bad day kind of day?
Yeah, I'll take the speed bumps.
I'm going to take it at 90.
The ones on the straightaway at Hanjin, right after you pass Roto, but going in, they get ugly right there. Those first two.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah, you could tell right there. Company driver.
Also, the shocks, though, they just last forever. The front suspension just lasts forever.
Yeah.
And the thing is that the other guy behind him was a driver, too. And he just looked at me, and he's like, what's going on? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, if that was my truck, I would be pissed. Because what he did was very immature.
Preventable.
And it could have been an accident. Like, we blame ourselves sometimes, but when you see the young guys doing this, you're like, why'd you get your CDL for, bro? If you killed somebody right now, you'd be in jail. And that would be your career. That was done for because of your phone. Because it was funny for you to take that video at that time. It's like, okay, I guess. Sometimes it's funny to do things like that. I don't know. But the guy, he never got off the truck, and he did it again. We pulled up again, and he did it again. And the truck was coming back again. So I get off my truck, and this guy didn't even want to tell him anything. Just I guess because the truck's not his, so he doesn't care. And the truck's coming back again, and we're honking at him, and he's not doing nothing. So I get off my truck, and I kind of get mad, and I'm like, hey, could you put your truck in neutral and put the brakes on, man? You're slamming into the truck behind you. No, I'm not. You did it twice already, man. Stop playing around. Mm-hmm. And he's on his phone, he stopped it. But what if that would have been somebody, man? What if my dad was in between those containers? What if it was inside inside the port? If you're making mistakes like that, man.
Yeah. Pay attention.
Yeah.
So, did he do it a third time?
No. He didn't do it again. He paid attention. He put his brakes on.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Still doing this.
Yeah.
I love this. I know that it's tough on me sometimes, but I like it. But I don't know what it'll bring about me. When you get good at something, it's just like, what if you get complacent with it? And you're like, okay.
Oh, you're maybe having a Crown Toyota moment.
Mm-hmm.
But there's nothing calling your attention at the moment anyways.
Nothing at the moment.
Okay.
So it's like kind of like, the only thing that I told you was like that overweight thing. That heavy hauling kind of stuff. But
just look into it. Do your research.
Yeah.
Maybe start off being a pilot. Like, what do you call it?
Okay.
The pilot car?
Uh-huh.
Is that what they call them?
Yeah.
Then pick their brain, and then,
Yeah.
That's pretty fun too. I think they call out like the mile markers, or when there's something up ahead, like they're just pre-screening the route, So yeah. What does Containeroz mean to you? I've started asking this recently, and it takes some people by like, huh, what? So what's your like, just.
I've never met you, to tell you the truth, until today.
We did a live. We did a live,
but that was
that counts.
I knew who you were even before that, maybe like 5 years before that, because I seen your truck flying around inside the ports.
Flying around.
He was taking all his stops and everything, people, but just zooming around. But
I was just following A bomb cart.
I would see your truck, and I'm like, man, that truck is so cool. And I wonder how he's like. And let me follow him. And I see the truck, and I'm like, this guy goes to work every day. He has a family. He has a truck. He fixes his truck with his family. And I'm like, man, that's crazy. That's crazy to see. And every person sees it differently, you know. But I'm like, man, he's in something. He's doing something. He's doing something that I know that a lot of people don't do, you know. And when you take care of that truck like that, and you had done the floor, I remember when you put in the floor, and then you put in the last thing was like the grill, I think, on the top of the hood. And I saw the truck. I'm like, man, that guy. I wish I had that. Like,
he needs a life,
something to do. No, I think he figured out a way to kind of do what he loves and have his family like it too. You know?
Oh yeah, like incorporate them when possible.
Yeah. And I kind of...
Sometimes those kids, man, they just get in the way. Like when you're trying to do
wait
something.
Wait a minute, I'm trying to drill something. He's like, let me try to drill it. I can only assume. Wait a minute, I want to do it correctly, and you're going to drill it sideways.
Let me waste an extra 5 minutes. Not like I waste enough time at the port.
But in a way, I looked up to you, to Containers, and to what it stands for, you know.
Yeah,
I know that you do everything in your power, even at the time, right?
Wow,
do everything in your power to try to get everything together, like the Truckers United, right? You did a lot of that stuff, a lot of that movement
attempts,
and I know it's tough because it's like a lot of people don't want to listen. They're too in. You know, I talked to my father-in-law a long time ago about something like that, you know, and I told him, hey, you know, why you guys never get together and, like, you know, together as a group, you know, you guys are more efficient like that.
They've tried already a lot of times.
I know. And he tells me, he's like, we did it. We tried it. We left our trucks over there in Fontana in a yard one time for a whole week, and it didn't do anything. And so I'm never going to do that again. You know, we wasted that time and it didn't solve anything. We were the same thing, doing the same thing. And I'm like, that's why. That's why a lot of people of the old heads don't want to change anything, because they know that it's probably not going to lead to anything.
Yeah, there comes another delusional youngster, you know, thinking that, we've been there. Like, so now they low-key just kind of watch, like, what if?
And it's kind of like, they're too old to kind of make that move, right? To try to say, hey, you know what, let's change everything.
Yeah.
And it's kind of and not a lot of young people are willing to sacrifice what some people or other people are, you know? They're not willing to sacrifice their work or a day at work, or, you know what I mean?
But you notice we're going to become them, and then the other youngsters will come.
And they'll never
and the cycle never ends, bro. It sounds so depressing.
Yeah. It's kind of like, just work to where you can.
Yeah.
And don't let work, you know, take up too much of your space in your mind. And just do the best that you can to your ability. And if you can support certain things, support them, you know. And but like I said, I'm like, one thing I want to, you know, I look up to you because you're doing this whole sobriety thing, you know. And I think that's one of the toughest things. You know, I watch a lot of things like documentaries about people that do feats, like that do things that nobody else can do, you know. And it's just like, even though you probably don't think it, the thing that you're doing is like some people would consider it like going up a mountain, you know, like Mount Everest. And even though you don't see it that way, other people see you going through it, and they're like, man, it's tough. Right now, I'm trying to do something similar, but it's not at the scale that you are. It's just like trying to drink less. And I only did it on the weekends. And then I started getting headaches and stuff like that. And I'm like, why? Because you're doing something different. Your body's reacting differently. It gets used to doing something all the time. It just reacts differently, and that's what happens. And now I'm like, I see you, and you're like, okay, and you're concentrating on the podcast and stuff like that. And it's like, I still see the truck. I reminisce about it and wish, like, oh man, we wouldn't hang around, but I don't know if we'd hang around because I know you have your family and everything. Yeah. But we would have been chill somewhere, you know. I would have been like admiring the truck still, and but yeah, I always saw you and Containers as like a staple of a young person that wanted to do change, and still is. Because through this mic that we're using, we can we can do that to the new generation, and the new generation can hear about what the young still that we feel like young are doing, and it's just like they'll listen to us and they'll be like, okay, maybe this makes sense, or maybe this, you know, this will help me out. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. Maybe that's the. We've been trying to figure it out, you know, like to organize something. And what if at the end of the day, it doesn't even come down to being anything, like just doing the right thing? And it sounds so corny, but if we just have a collective of, you know, the same goals.
Yeah. Being with each other, you know, like I said, like there's some things that you're like, the other day, Yang Mi had a big line. And I was at the end of it, but you know how you have to get out and go through the bridge and stuff like that? Yeah. Well, I cut the line. Yeah. But the guy went like this. And he came next to me and he's like, you know, you could have been back there. And I'm like, hey, I'm thankful. You know, I'm thankful that there's still people out there that want to help you, even though they know that because you're young, you know. And it's like, I don't do it all the time. But when I do it and I get that, you know, I'm like, man, they want to help you out. The old heads want to help you out, and they do it sometimes, you know. But sometimes you feel like everything's against you. Sometimes you have bad days and you're working, and there's nothing. Who do you vocalize that to? Your truck? You better not mess up on me this week, because I'm trying to, you know, I'm already going through enough, and you're just wishing that you have a good week. But that's how life is sometimes as a truck driver. You just got to do a balance with everything that you do, and be grateful for the things that you have. Because you don't know, you know, life is tough. And you work hard for the things that you have. So I always appreciate that, you know, that I went through that. Like I tell you, I got my truck, and because I bought it, I just have more love for it.
And that sense of pride, like,
yeah,
you know,
because if I would have got it for free, I would have been like, probably wouldn't have had love for it. It's like, but it's good. It's good where I'm at. I'm happy, you know. Just gotta push on, keep on pushing forward, you know, no matter what.
How do you contribute to what you believe would be a better port system amongst the drivers? Like, we all got a little something we do, you know, like.
You know what? When I see new drivers that are kind of like, the other day I met a gentleman. He works for a company, big company, and they're in there now, and he was just talking to me and he was listening, and I'm just telling him all these stories, and I'm like, look at it. If they do this to you, make sure you pay attention, because people will be like this. Yeah. And don't cut the line over here, because people are gonna get mad, and then you're gonna feel bad, you know, you have a bad day. And it's just like, I try to help out the people that I can, you know. But one thing to tell all the truck drivers, when you go up to a truck and you're like, hey, my spot is up there, you know, and a spot up there, say good morning to the guy first, you know. Say good morning to him. Forget about everything else. Just say good morning to him. You don't know what he's going through. You don't know where his mind's at.
Yeah.
And you throw that out there, it's like, okay, you know.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
You're thinking about your fellow truck driver, just like you said, you know. I love the truck drivers that are there. They're all hardworking. But if you just say good morning to somebody, you could change their day. But sometimes you got these rude people that just, they're used to, you know, I'm just going to ask him what spot he's going to. Hey, where you going? And like, hey, good morning. You know, just learn how to, if we are in our own little circle, we treat each other like that, and little by little, they'll be noticing, and we'll have less stress and less problems. And trust me. But just every time you go ask somebody for their spot, the youngins, every time you go to, hey, good morning, shout out, you know, good morning, and then, hey, I'm going to cut you off because I'm going to go up there.
Hey, what if it's the last chassis? The last chassis in the pit, you're like, good morning. And then he's not there no more. You just hear the click, click, click. You like, motherfucker.
I'm coming after you.
He's taking off. Yeah, you have a good morning too.
Good morning. You're going to wait another hour before another chassis comes around.
Yeah. And then from that day on, nobody
no more good mornings.
Fuck everyone.
No more good mornings.
La mía está arriba. Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. Pues ahí se va a quedar. Shit.
I do it with my guys too. I'm like, hey man, let me go because my cat is just too grand. No, you're way behind me. I'm like, all right.
Let's see.
Oh, I think you had one where it's like, who do you admire? Or what was the question?
Oh, I didn't add it on this one because you don't look like the type of guy that admires anyone. Nah, I'm just playing. I'll throw it in there. What's up?
Yeah.
Who inspires you?
Well,
wait, hold on. Let me act like I'm looking for it right here. So, who inspires you, bro?
It's this guy, Luis Molina. Anybody I learn from.
It's gonna make me blush. I don't feel I deserve that, but
anybody I learn from. Any person that has ever been out there that has taught me something, that's who I admire. You know, I have my father, I have my father-in-law. I have people like you, truck drivers, that I see that they're doing something different. I have friends, co-workers that I used to work with, I admire. I'm like, anybody that I learned something from, that's who I admire. You know, I have a lot of people that help me out during the time, and that helps me out too, you know.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes you have to vocalize it, right? Us as guys, we don't really do it. But I even tell other truck drivers, I'm like, man, I look up to you because of the things that you do. And it just, I know it makes them feel better. I know it makes me feel better to get off my chest, because when are we going to ever tell these people that we admire them? When they're dead? You know? When they're gone? No.
Yeah.
I want them to know right now. You know?
But it feels weird.
It feels weird, but it's just part of it, man.
I have a few friends I have very few friends, which I don't mind. I think, like I've been saying, like quality over quantity, right? That at first did that whole "I love you," it just felt weird, bro. Like,
that's kind of different. Huh?
Yeah. But I get what you're saying. We're not accustomed to stuff like that sometimes.
No, we're not. We're not accustomed to push to even say something like that. It's just it becomes like I don't want to say anything because I don't know how he's gonna take it. Take it however you want to take it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people I admire, and I try to let them know. You know, sometimes just by the words that I say, or sometimes like the conversations that I have with them, they know, or I've told them, or text them, and I'm going through something, or
hey, go ahead.
And I kind of like, I'm at an emotional spot, and I'm like,
yeah,
forget it, dude. I went through some things when I first started that nobody helped me out with, and it sucks to be like that, to feel like that.
Yeah,
because you feel like you're the only one going through it, and you don't know they went through it.
Yeah,
but they didn't feel like the need to have to talk about it or say anything about it, because they're just men.
You're having these thoughts.
Yeah.
But it's 10 p.m. and your friend is in bed with his wife, and then you text, "I love you." So random.
Don't do that anymore.
That's it?
That's it, I guess.
All right. I'm going to have to bring some of those back on then, because you guys are catching on with the list, huh? When you guys watch them, there's something
I kind of see, I kind of see them, and I'm like, I wonder if he's going to ask me this. But I mean, I get it, because you went through the list, and you're like, you kind of like figured out, okay, look, I'm going to talk to him about this. I'll see where I push this and stuff like that. But
I wish I didn't need a list. I wish I had it like in my, like,
yeah, in your mind. But but as time goes by, you'll start getting better at it. And just like when you reverse a truck for the first time with the 40-foot trailer.
Yeah,
it takes a while.
Blindside a 20-footer.
Heck yeah.
Shit.
Or a 53 when you have to stick it in over there at Santa Fe. It's like everything takes its time. But when you really get into it, you'll start noticing that you're perfecting the art of, of whatever you do. You start perfecting it, and you're like, just become something.
Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it over and over.
Yeah, repetition.
Cool. Let me see. Well, is there anything you would like to add?
No, I think I spoke enough. I think.
Okay. Okay, bye.
We're out of here.
So where can they reach you at if they want to know more about the door swinging story technique?
Everything that I'm gonna give you is advice for you to push on. Whatever you're doing, you're long hauling, you're doing, you're working at the ports. If you're out there, I'm out there trying to, when I can, to help and to give some advice to some people that are new. But yeah, you can hit me up on Instagram. I don't want no haters on there either. I don't have time for it. I'll delete you as soon as
just block them.
Around.
You do know by saying that now they feel compelled to message you.
Don't do it.
What is it at? What is it?
My Instagram hashtag is
complicated ass name.
WHT. WHT.
I'm just pretending like how they feel when they write it. WHT
4G.
See what I mean?
3.
63. WHT 4G63.
Yeah.
Sound like my friend Jose Morelos, the RTLO something.
It's
a fucking transmission name, bro, of a truck.
Holy smokes. FLD 150. What is it? What's something? Those old
I don't know. It's just RTLO and then some numbers. I'm like, bro, you're fucking super trucker.
Yeah, out of control.
And yours stands for what?
It's an engine code for
There you go. You would make good friends with him.
Yeah. For a motor for a Mitsubishi.
There it is. Hey, before we go, like, whatever happened to the Galant? They were cool for a little minute.
Yeah,
and then
I don't think it was. It wasn't made because it wasn't a car, like a powerful car. So it's like kind of people that they pushed away from that. They loved the all-wheel drive kind of thing of it.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
It como que era like competition for the 4-door Accord.
Yeah,
in a
so
way.
they started what people started doing later was they would push this motor into that car, and this motor was capable of like 600 horsepower without doing too much to the motor. So the car would be beast, the 4-wheel drive car. Just got traction right off the bat. And so people started doing that motor into that car, and for a while they were making power. But
are there any around? I think, you know what? That gave me an idea. Maybe I'll make a Galant my daily when I get my license back. Just out of this conversation with that mod tip.
We're going to put the motor in it and make 600 horsepower.
Nah, just simple. I like the simple, like maybe black with some, dark bronze wheels.
Oh, okay. Something
simple. Little basic, little drop.
Okay.
Y vámonos. Okay. All right. That's it, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you on the next one. Peace.